everyone to Life Beyond 6 Feet. I'm Damian Christie from RKB Paranormal, and this is episode 2 of season 2. And this week I'm chatting with Tennessee-based Fearful Encounters. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Life Beyond 6 Feet. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing great.
Everybody got quiet there for a second. All right, so I've got. Thank you for coming on. I've got Chris, Josh, Ashley, Jackie, and Tony. I've had Chris on a previous time, so he kind of knows how this works. So I'm just kind of gonna dive right into this thing. How did Fearful Encounters form?
I don't know. I guess the channel that we were doing was supposed to be a podcast at first.
Right.
And I think it just kind of moved towards more of a group. We were all really into the paranormal, and it just one thing led to another. I don't even know how to explain it.
Well, I remember you telling me that, hey, I'm going to start a podcast and this and that, and this is the name I got for it. And then the next thing I know, you're like, oh, actually, we're not going to be a team. I'm like, wait, what just happened here? So, so who kind of came up with the name Fearful Encounters?
It was actually Ashley.
Was it Ashley? Okay. So how did you come up with that?
I was just kind of looking around and playing with different things and putting different names together that sounded really cool. And because me and Chris are so scared when we do this, I think her name would it be if we do things that are fearful and that we're scared of, and kind of facing our fears and encountering different things that will push us to our limits. And we have awesome things coming up, and hopefully we are able to face our fears.
Right.
I can't be by myself. I try, but I can't.
I understand. Now, I know Chris and Josh, I know you guys are a couple, so how does everybody else know each other?
This is I'm the third.
All right, so how did everybody meet Jackie and Tony?
So, basically with them, I work with Jackie.
Okay.
So
okay.
When I worked there at Duracell for a while with them, me and Jackie were just talking about the paranormal, and one thing led to another. We started going on investigations, and me and her became really good friends. And I'm like, have you heard about OSPH and OHHH? And I got them out there, got them introduced to the paranormal more. And one thing led to another, and met her husband, and we just all came together and became one good team, and great at the bestest friends I can ever meet.
Hell yeah! And we're gonna dive into Old South and Old Harriman here in just a few minutes, but I want to kind of talk to you guys about each kind of your own personal experiences, kind of what got you in to the paranormal. So Tony, I'm going to start with you, man. Well, how did you kind of get down this paranormal path?
Mainly my wife here making me go with her to Old South.
So
I'm terrified of this stuff, but I'm an adrenaline junkie, so I kind of like getting the crap scared out of me.
Right. So no kind of personal experiences like growing up or anything?
Not really. If something like that happened, I just kind of ignored it and went on with my life.
Right. All right, Jackie, what about you?
I mean, I've always been interested, and I thought it was kind of cool. And we always watched the Ghost Adventures and all that on TV growing up, any normal family. And then I met Chris, and Chris was like, hey, I actually do that. And I was like, that sounds awesome. And so he took me.
No, you got muted.
No.
There we go.
Sorry. I refused to go back in because it scared the crap out of me.
You might have to start over because you got kind of muted. You said you met Chris, and then we lost you for a minute.
Sorry, my mom called.
It's okay.
I met Chris, and he was like, hey, I actually do this. And I was like, oh, cool. I want to go because, you're always so brave when you hear about it. And I was like, let's do it. And so he tricked me into going, and we got up there, and it was all fun and games until I got really scared and I had to leave because I was freaking out, and I went and sat in my van, and I was like, I got to go back now. So here we are.
All right. So no kind of personal experiences growing up that you can remember?
I mean, so I did live in a house, though, that we swore was haunted. A lot of things happened there, and that's kind of where I was like, I really want to know more about what's going on. But aside from that, like I have kids and my son is actually called out like, hey, is that Papa Myers? Like when he was little, it was just my grandfather, like little things, but nothing huge. And it was Chris really that was like, I can do this. And I was like, I want to do it too. And then it just draws you in.
Hell yeah. All right. So Josh, what about you, man?
It's kind of the same as Jackie. I've always had an interest in it, but I've never really done anything along the lines of ghost hunting or anything in the paranormal. And I have to say, Chris is the catalyst for me being in anything paranormal. If it wasn't for Chris, I wouldn't even be doing this right now. But I've always had an interest in it, and I'm just tickled to death that we're still doing this.
Hell yeah.
I've not had any kind of personal experience that got me into it really, other than our first experience at Old South, where we got an EVP of a woman saying red. And we got that EVP and we were just like, oh my God, just running around the room because we were so excited.
Right. And that first EVP always gets your blood pumping, I think. So Ashley, what about you? What kind of got you into this whole thing?
I think starting out at a really young age, I used to have like really vivid dreams that come true, kind of, in a way.
Right.
And so I always knew that there was something more out there and something different. But what really got me started, like investigating the paranormal, was I spent a week in New Orleans for Halloween a few years ago, and we did a investigation the night before Halloween at the St. Vincent's Guest House, and it's a orphanage in New Orleans, and we had so many really cool experiences that happened that night. It's like an addiction. Once you do it, you just keep wanting to do it, and you want to push yourself a little bit further every time to see
Right.
what you find, and trying to explain things and also figure out like what happens when we die, what comes next,
Right.
is kind of why I do it. I want to know that this isn't the only thing that happens. We're alive now, and when we die, that's it. Like, how boring would that be?
Right.
When you die, it's just black. It's nothing. So that's why I've gotten into it, is because I want to find those answers. And we have a lot of fun while we do it.
Right.
We do seriously and we do investigate seriously, but we do have a lot of fun too.
Right. You got to have fun doing this, because we just kind of, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but if you don't at least have some kind of fun while you're doing it, it may not be as enjoyable for you. Because as you all know, you're sitting in an empty room for X amount of hours, and if nothing happens, what are you going to do to pass the time? You kind of got to goof off and fuck around a little bit. So,
and we find ways to like jump out at Chris and scare him, or we'll run down the dark hallway really fast so that he's left behind and he has to like try to catch up. And he almost blew up his knees today. It was funny. It happened.
And I like how you said you're kind of addicted to it, and that's a good addiction in my opinion. Something that you enjoy doing that's not bad for your body, or as long as nothing attaches itself or harms you, rather. So
because it can be kind of expensive.
Yeah. So all right, Chris, so what about you? What kind of led you down this path, buddy?
Well, I never had any personal experiences growing up. I guess it was just my mind. It just wandered, watching all these ghost shows growing up. I really didn't get into it till I was about, my teenage years, learning about, what comes after death and, looking up stuff. I tried to watch ghost hunting shows, but I mean, obviously, I'm the biggest chicken ever. So I did my best trying to, learn this stuff. And then, I've went to, graveyards with friends and try to learn about, EVPs and stuff. And then my actual break was at OSPH back in 2020. Me and Josh went there for a day, and that's when it all kind of came together. And I went in there almost as a skeptic, and my mind to this day is still blown how much activity, OSPH and Harriman has to offer to us. Right. And I guess that I keep doing what I'm doing, even though I'm scared to death. I still come back at it, and I still want to learn. I still want to know why they're here. and like I'm still learning to this day from other people, even learning from them
Right.
most of all, because I mean they're teaching techniques and they're probably learning from me from the stuff we've done.
Most definitely.
Right. And now, you've mentioned Old South Pittsburgh Hospital and Old Harriman Hospital, and you keep mentioning ghost shows. So how did you guys know about Destination Fear when they were going to be at Old Harriman, or was that kind of a surprise when they made the announcement official? So did you guys know beforehand, or did you know like when I found out?
Well, as you know, volunteer, we know certain things. Some of us knew, some of us didn't know. I didn't have,
know.
yeah,
I didn't know.
opportunity to meet them, but we some of us knew at the time.
Right. That's personally my favorite paranormal show right now. And when I found out that they were going to be in another location in Tennessee, I was like, "Fuck yeah, dude!" I was like, "That's awesome."
Yeah.
And when I watched the episode, I was like, "All right, I've talked to Chris and I've talked to this person, and they're saying how active it is." And I watched a couple of YouTube videos, but watching it done professionally like that, I'm just like, "Holy shit!" I was like, "It really is this active."
Mhm.
And some of the stuff that happened, I was just like, that's fucking insane. And it made me want to go even more. So how did you guys, all of you, kind of get involved with Old South and Old Harriman Hospital?
Well, with Old South, me and Josh started volunteering and back in about 2020, late 2020 to early 21. And Ashley,
I did it there, and it was amazing. Probably one of the best experiences I've had. I love Old South, and there's just something about it that you go once and so much stuff happens that you're like, I have to go again. I have
Right.
to go again to see if it can recreate it or if it can talk. And every time you go to Old South, it's better than the time before you went. And maybe that's just because I opened myself up to it. But that's how I kind of started, going to Old South. And then I became friends with Chris. And then Chris kind of got me into volunteering. And now we're volunteers, and we're actually here right now at Harriman. That's where we're coming to you from.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah, we
I
put in
think
some.
Jackie had mentioned that y'all were all kind of doing some cleanup there today. So y'all are broadcasting live from a haunted location right now. That's awesome. So Jackie and Tony, how did you guys kind of get involved in helping the volunteering and all that stuff?
Well, so like I said, Chris took us to Old South, and it terrified me just because it's not scary. It's so much, and there's so much activity, and it was my first time, and it was just like so much coming at you all the time. There were noises, there were such great Estes method. And then I also came here for free roam, and I told Chris, I was like, I am in love with Harriman. You walk in and you just know it's going to be a good night. Like, that there's something here and you want to find the bottom of it. Like, you got to find out what's going on. It just sucks you in. So I was like, Chris, I've got to volunteer. Like, I've got to volunteer. I want to go clean. I want to go be there.
Right.
And as far as Old South, like, I've got to, because that place it's not a joke. It's not scary, but there's so much activity. I've got to face my fearful encounters. So like, I'm trying to put myself in that situation where I'm in there, I'm around things. That one location, just that first night ever doing an overnight with just everything that happened, I knew that I could not let that beat me. So now I want to clean it.
And you guys keep talking about how active Old South Pittsburgh is. And I've been there once, and it may have been because it was a public event, or maybe it was just a dead night. But to me, it wasn't that active that night, and that happens and that's why I've been wanting to go back, but for a private, because as everybody knows that's listening to this, I'm not a fan of public events. It's
Right.
It's hard to do. It's hard to take it serious. Hard to actually capture good evidence. I will say the first time I went to Old South, I was introduced to the Estes method there.
Wow.
I think who was it? I think it was JB Coates was the one
Mhm.
that she was part of the event, and she was like, "Who wants to volunteer to do this?" And I threw my hand up. I was like, "I'll fucking do it." Let's try this out. And I'd heard of it, but I didn't really know what it was. And so
Mhm.
she's like, "I'm going to put you in here, and we're all going to be out here, and we're going to be asking stuff, and you just holler out whatever you hear." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." I didn't have a blindfold or anything on, but I was in this room by myself, had no clue what anybody was saying. And when I came out, I was like, "Did any of that make sense?" They're like, "Yeah, some of it made sense." And in that same room, I'm sure you guys know about the puffs of smoke that happen occasionally.
Dr.
I,
Taylor.
yeah, I witnessed
Yeah.
that. We all witnessed that, and I was like, "Well, that's pretty insane. Is where the hell did that come from?" Excuse me. And like I said, I've been wanting to go back there, and I want to go to old Harriman Hospital, Harriman in general. And I've told Chris this before. That little town is just creepy as hell.
Oh yeah.
Because I
It
got
is.
I got to investigate the post office when they were doing the investigations there, and that place was insane.
Mhm.
I know Chris knows about it, but 3 of our teammates got scratched that night.
Wow.
Oh,
Never
wow.
happened. Never has happened before. Never happened since. 2 of us got scratched just during the walkthrough, and I got scratched by myself, locked in a vault. Nobody in there but me. I got 3 scratches on the back of my neck,
I would have peed my pants.
and
Whoa.
we're not one of these teams that do any kind of provoking or anything. So we just found it really weird
Mhm.
that we're getting scratched, and we're just being as respectful as possible. And we figured that the people weren't telling us everything that we should have been aware of. And I remember passing Old Harriman Hospital. I was like, "Man, I wonder what that building is. That building looks cool as hell." And I think at the time there was still like a for sale sign on it. So, oh, I'm out of breath. Holy shit. Okay. um, so to each one of you guys, Tony, I'm going to start with you. Like, what's your favorite piece of equipment to use?
Probably just the cat balls. I mean, that's what I usually get the most activity out of. I
Is it
tried the Estes method, and I can't hear nothing on it. I've tried several times. It's just gibberish to me.
right? And isn't it weird how a simple cat toy can be one of the most useful pieces of equipment during an investigation?
Yeah.
So when I first found out about those, I was like, "There's no way that's legit." And then you sit it there, and nobody's moving, and all of a sudden this thing just starts lighting up like crazy. I'm like, "How do you explain that?" So, all right, Jackie, what about you? What's your favorite piece of equipment to use?
A digital recorder. Because if I'm talking and I want to communicate, we can't always hear that, but sometimes they can communicate when we're not able to hear it. So I like hearing, I just like hearing that back. So I like a digital recorder,
Right,
honestly.
and it kind of keeps you on your toes because once you hit stop, and then you go back to review it, you're like, what am I gonna hear? And then when you capture something really crazy, it's just like, holy shit!
Your heart stops and you're just like, oh my God. Yeah.
Right. So, all right, Josh, what about you, man? What's your favorite piece to use?
I have to bounce off Jackie and say the digital recorder, but also when we were with the other team, we used an enhanced audio recorder and we used it a couple times, and I thought that was incredibly. It was just incredible. I've never heard things that clear before,
Mm-hmm.
and you can just pick up on things a lot more than you can with a regular digital recorder.
Right.
But I would also have to say a REM pod as well.
Right. Yeah, I've been wanting to get one of those fancy enhanced recorders because I think that would just be cool as hell to listen to it live and all that. And I'm with you right there. The REM pod's probably one of my favorite pieces, if not my favorite piece. So Ashley, what about you?
I think for me, my favorite when we're investigating, my favorite part is when we're sitting somewhere in the complete darkness and we have maybe a REM pod out and we just sit and listen
Mm-hmm.
and get really quiet and just kind of like feel the energy and hear everything and just go quiet. That's like my favorite investigating. I love the REM pod though because it's one of those things like you're waiting for it to go off and then when it does you're like, "Oh my God, that's so cool."
Right.
And then when asking questions like and you're getting intelligent responses on the REM pod, like make it go to green and it goes to green, or step back and it steps back, or, hold it down and it's just going off. That's
Right.
like probably for me, but definitely just sitting quiet and listening and talking to them and just hearing if we hear anything with our own ears.
Right. And I'm going to jump in real quick. I know you two are at Old Harriman right now. What is behind you guys right now?
Oh
Is that-
God, don't.
Is
It's
is it a
It's
window?
hard.
It's the cars.
Okay.
I saw it too.
Because I'm like, okay, maybe that's a window and I'm seeing cars, but I keep seeing stuff moving back and forth and they got the
Yeah.
background kind of blurred. So I didn't know if I was seeing shit or
I've
if there
been
was like,
looking to make sure.
all right,
He's
all
like,
right.
oh, it's up there.
All right. So, Chris, what about you, man? What's your favorite piece to use?
It's kind of like what Ashley said. I like sitting also in the dark with a REM pod and, having my ears open. I think especially here at Harriman, that is the most important thing here is hearing everything. Footsteps, disembodied voices. That's the most important thing here. And that's like my favorite thing to do. And I just, I zone out. That's one thing I like doing is just kind of hanging in there, not talking much and just sitting
Right.
back.
And they all keep mentioning, REM pods and stuff. Have y'all tried in that same hallway the Destination Fear had like something running toward them with all those REM pods? Is that like a very active hallway?
Yes.
I thought that was cool as hell. So
Yeah, it is, and that hallway is incredibly long, and so we tried to sit a little bit far apart from each other, and I couldn't. I was like, no, I need somebody on and somebody on this side. I'm sitting in the middle. I'm not doing it. That place
Right.
that hallway is creepy. It's
Right.
really long, and it's long rooms on both sides. At the end of it, it's like super dark. On the other end, it's like an operating room. And it's just like, no, I'm not sitting up here by myself. I can't.
right. Well, hopefully one of these days I'll get to experience that place. What the hell was that?
That was my chair.
Sorry.
Oh,
It's a ghost.
all right. So to each one of you guys, what's like probably the scariest thing so far you've personally experienced during an investigation, whether you were recording or if you were just kind of messing around? What's like been the scariest thing each one of you have experienced? Jackie, you made a face, so I'm going to start with you.
Okay, so the reason I left Old South and I freaked out and left the building. We were actually back by the body box, and Ashley, this is the first night I'd ever met her. She was doing the Estes method.
It's the best night of
What?
best night of your life.
Okay, so she was doing the Estes method in the body box, and I was kind of standing in the bathroom area, which is right next to it. And there's like this little opening on the ceiling, and it's dark. And I'm kind of looking up, and she's like on her thing, and she can't see me. She's behind the wall. And she's like, look up. And I was like, oh gosh, I'm looking up. Okay, so I'm not going to look up. I'm going to look down. I'm not going to do that. And then about that time, I felt something go down the side of my face. And when I say I came 10 foot off that floor, screamed, my hair stood straight out. And I came out. And then Chris, who is in the other room, said, why are you messing with Jackie? And Ashley comes out with, because I want to.
Oh, man.
I'm pretty sure I peed on myself and I had to leave. I was done. I mean, it wasn't subtle. It was a full on down my face. And I was like, out of it. I couldn't handle it.
Oh,
Yeah, that was pretty rough.
I mean, that is kind of a frightening thing to be touched by something in the dark and you can't see what it is.
And it was my very first time doing anything. So
Right.
yeah, I got like, I was like, I can't do this. I've got to go. And I left. I turned my car around and wouldn't even look back while they finished.
All
Yeah.
right, so Ashley, what's been like the scariest thing you've experienced?
That's hard because I haven't really been like terrified from anything, but the last time that we were here at Harriman, we were doing something here. Maybe it was a free roam or something, and everybody had left, and Chris and I and one other person stayed here. Oh, it was Josh. We were here, and
Yeah,
Josh
yeah.
Josh was 4th floor in one of the rooms in ICU doing an method. And me and Chris are sitting out in the hallway and just like looking around quiet. And we're hearing these like footsteps coming up the stairwell. And you hear the like boom, boom. And I'm like, in my mind, I just hear the boom, 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 boom. And it's like running after us.
Oh,
That
man.
didn't, but we heard like the first 2 steps.
Right.
And I was like, I'm done. It's only us 3 in this giant hospital. This hospital is huge. It's not like Old South, where, you know, Old South is big too, but this is enormous and it's creepy. And I was just done. I was like, let's go. I'm done. I'm over it. And Chris was like, calm down. It's going to be okay. And I'm like, those were legit footsteps coming up the stairwell.
Oh,
Like
man.
it wasn't just like a little tiny creak. It was footsteps. Somebody was coming up there for
Right.
sure.
And you didn't want to stick around to see who it was. So,
No, and I started running at us. Chris would have left me, and I would have been in the hall by myself, like
oh, man.
huddled in her, like in a fetal position, crying. But thankfully, that didn't happen. So, but that was probably like one of the most uneasy feelings, besides what happened to us at the Sally House. But it wasn't. The Sally House was creepy because we had somebody upstairs doing the Estes method and we were downstairs. And so the person upstairs couldn't hear us, but we were asking questions. And me being stupid, I asked, what did you do to the Pikmins in the 90s? You know, expecting it to say like scratch or something like that. And the person upstairs goes, I'll show you.
Oh,
And
shit.
oh, no, you can't show me. You can tell. And she goes, bring her here. And they go, bring who? And then that person answers, the girl on the couch. And I was the only other girl on the couch.
I remember that.
Yeah, and I was creeped out already. We're sitting in the dark, and then they go, where do you want us to bring her? And then it goes, in the cellar. And I was like, hell no, I'm gone. I'm sleeping in the van tonight. I'm not doing it. You know, so that was pretty creepy and easy. We didn't get a lot of activity at the Sally House, but that was really uncomfortable to be like kind of antagonized like that. Like, bring her here to the cellar. We want her down here with us.
Man, yeah, that's a little intense, I would say. All right, so Tony, what about you? You seem probably like the biggest skeptic of the group. So what's kind of spooked you the most?
I think what was it, Chris? Was that Pickens County Jail?
Pickens County, yeah.
We were there and we went there twice and we really haven't gotten anything.
Right.
And me and Chris was up in the men's jail cell. We've been asking questions and all kinds of stuff and never got anything. And just out of nowhere, a pebble or something gets thrown. We got it on digital recording too. You can hear it. It
Right.
hits the wall and then hits the ground. And I went stiff cold. I was shaking there for a minute. I was like, Jesus.
Right.
And it was pretty loud too. It wasn't like it fell. It was swung.
Right. Right.
It just
That's,
scared the beast out of me and Chris both.
when you have something thrown at you, that's gonna spook you for sure. I had something thrown at me at Brushy Mountain, and it's just like, how can you explain just that? It's like, okay, maybe something fell off the wall or the ceiling, but it's like when you're asking these questions and all of a sudden something's thrown, or you can tell it's definitely being thrown. It's like, how do you explain that?
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
All right, Chris, we're gonna save the best for last. So, what scared you the most, man?
Well, I don't know. I guess, going to Lynchburg Funeral Home. We've been there so far, 3 times?
I've been there
Once, yeah. But I guess the second time I went back, activity was so ramped up. And this was with my old previous team. And, it was just like all these knocks, all these things we were hearing. I was on edge. Like, I was just freaked out through the night. And of course, we had to sleep there. So we get everything down in the parlor room. We're getting everything ready for bed. It is hot in there. It's muggy. And,
Yeah.
we're all one air mattress because I wasn't sleeping alone.
It was him and Josh on one freaking air mattress.
Yeah.
We were,
Yeah.
and I was just like, in and out, hearing little things, and everybody's like, "You're fine, go to sleep." And as soon as I closed my damn eyes, in the back. To me, it sounded like something moved in the back room, and then this raspy, whatever you want to call it, old lady's voice was like, "Hello," and I was through. I was done. I was wanting to pack my stuff up.
I'll,
I was through with the whole night. I had to sleep that night. I was just done with.
No, but see what I tell you guys is that what Chris likes to do is when everybody else is asleep and he can't sleep, he'll wake somebody up to, and then he'll fall right back asleep. So that person is now awake by themselves.
Like snoring back to sleep.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
You'll immediately hear him snoring, and are you serious? You just woke me up, and now you're out cold. Like yeah, he's really loud. Did you hear that? And I'm like, yeah. And Josh was like, yeah, go back to sleep.
I said,
Lord God
I
forbid
said, it's
he hears
okay.
the
It's in the
voice
other
of
room.
Linda.
It's okay. It's in the other room.
Well, that old Lynchburg funeral home, that's a creepy place anyway. And just
It's wild.
to lay there and you guys try to go to sleep, I give you props for that because I personally I don't know if I could just lay down and go to sleep in that place.
It was
It's,
creepy.
Looked like a baby in there.
That's
That times, but hearing that voice just laying there, like it sounded like an old lady just saying hello to you.
And it was more like a curious hello, like hello, like
Yeah.
is you there? What's that noise?
right.
Like
And it happened twice. It hap-
others, like maybe she thinks we're the ghost.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it was like really weird.
Have you guys heard any of the growls when you've been there?
I've not no crap. We heard now, with some other people that we thought we heard stuff similar to it. We're thinking it was maybe the dog that was in the back room of the embalming area. But other than that, like last time when I went with Jackie and all them, we got nothing except on the second floor. We got that little girl named Emily. And that was an amazing experience up there. But other than that, it was quiet.
Emily's my favorite.
I don't know, whatever we heard growling there was not a dog. Me and my
Hmm.
wife heard it in the best way she could describe it. It sounded like the predator growl.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
dang.
Creepy.
And I'm like, yeah, I was like, that didn't sound like no kind of animal I've ever heard. And it
No.
was back in the one room that's kind of like spray painted up because it was part of the haunted house and has that big box in the middle of the room.
Oh yeah, the clown room.
Oh.
Yeah, it came from there. And it was, that place is just crazy and definitely hot. And
Mhm.
when we went, Chris was like, "Yo, yeah, man, there's electricity." I was like, "Sweet, they're gonna have air conditioning." Yeah, he failed to tell me that there was no AC in this place, and I was like, "Oh my god!" It's like middle of July and it's fucking hot as balls in here.
Yeah. It was awful, but it's still a good place.
yeah, I like Lynchburg.
Man,
Yeah, it was
That's amazing.
it was pretty fun. And if you guys haven't done the old Moore County Jail right across the road, that was a pretty cool place too.
He let us take a tour of it. We went and took a tour.
Yeah, we never got to investigate it though.
When we investigated it, like nothing happened downstairs. Like everything was upstairs in the jail part, and it wasn't super active, but it was enough to kind of keep us curious and wanting to go back. And they're looking at something.
We're hearing noises
Yeah,
out here.
there's like
I'm just waiting for some random see-through person to walk behind you guys.
wouldn't
They're
that be
right by
amazing?
a set of
That would- that
stairs
would-
that make
that
a
would-
lot of noise.
That would be crazy. Okay, so to each one of you guys, what's kind of like on your bucket list of places you want to go? Chris, we'll start.
I want to
with
go
you.
to.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I want to go to Penhurst.
Yes, that would be amazing. Is that like your top place, or do you have some more you'd like to hit up, or is that like your main one?
Honestly, we watched what was it, Trail to Terror
Uh-huh.
with Destination Fear, and I was just blown away by it, and I really want to go to it.
Yeah.
They got so many things that one night that they couldn't explain. People screaming,
Mm-hmm.
it even if it is fake, and I highly doubt it was, that is terrifying.
Right.
And they'll all tell you I'm not one to easily get scared, but if I heard that, I would be booking it.
Oh, no doubt. It's to hear just a random screaming in the middle of the night when it's only just one or two people in the building. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would probably pee a little.
That'd be a lot. So
All right, so Tony, what's like your top bucket list place?
I don't have too many that I can think of, but probably Bobby Mackey's. I'd like to go see that place.
That place is up on the top of mine too. My wife refuses to go there, but it'd be one I'd have to. It'd probably be like an all guys trip because I don't think my sister in law would want to go either. But that's like a top of my list too. So Jackie, what about you?
I don't really have a bucket list. I'm pretty new to all this. So, and I feel like every person kind of has a different experience at each place you go anyway. So
Mhm.
anytime Chris is like, hey, do you want to do this? I'm like, let's do it. Book it when we going. So
Right.
like, I would be more into probably doing like some creepy New Orleans style stuff. That would probably be pretty cool, but I don't have a bucket list of places. I'm just down because it's like I said, you have a unique experience pretty much anytime you go anywhere. So
Right.
let's go. Let's do
Right.
it.
Nice. So Chris, what's some of your top places, man?
Winchester Mansion and the Queen Mary.
Ooh,
Hell yeah.
those
The
are good
Queen
ones.
the Queen Mary would be cool as shit. So would the Winchester House, but I think if I had to pick one, I think I would pick the Queen Mary first. But those would be two really cool ones to do. Ashley, what about you?
So I guess my bucket list places I've already been to would be Old South because that was one of the places that I wanted to go to for a really long time, and I'm a volunteer there now, so it's like even better.
Right.
But if I had to be somewhere where I haven't been, it would be probably the catacombs in Paris.
So that would be insane.
I would say I'm going to shoot big at that because that place would be like creepy, seeing all the skulls and everything.
Right.
You know,
Pass on that one, Ashley.
I,
You,
25.
Ashley, you reminded me of this one place. You reminded me of this one place. I've got to find it. It's some castle, bottomless pit.
Like Dracula's castle.
that'd be crazy too. I think I'd be more terrified in the
Find it.
catacombs to just
I've
get
got to find this
lost.
thing.
Yeah, I don't know that I want to be in the catacombs.
And then there's all kinds of like,
Huska Castle.
What's it called?
Huska Castle. It's in what country? It's not on front page of Google, so I'm not worrying about it. But it's Huska Castle. Okay, I'm just going to read this little paragraph. In an effort to contain the demonic powers that hid below, the castle chapel was built directly atop the bottomless pit. Visitors have heard what they describe as a chorus of screams coming from beneath the heavy floor.
Oh hell.
Like it's like a portal to hell kind of type deal. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You mentioned the catacombs. You just reminded me of that.
yeah,
Nope.
that would probably be I would want to like travel to like overseas would be that. Here in the United States, I'd probably would have to say Trans Allegheny though. I really want to do Trans Allegheny.
Thank you. I was hoping one of you would say Trans Allegheny because that's my top spot. So
We'll have to get there and go, both of our teams together, split the cost, be
right,
cheaper on.
it definitely would, and that's the good thing about working with other teams is
Mhm.
you can split cost and everything and travel expenses and all that stuff.
But
So I know,
like-
Learn from each team.
Stuff every time you go there. Like
right,
it never lets you down when you go to them. So I've heard. I don't
right, all right. So I know you guys have a big 2023 already planned, like already got stuff going. So what's on the docket right now for 2023?
Next month. Well, yeah, next month we got Edinburgh. We're actually doing a 72-hour lockdown over there, and after that we got a little place that we used to like going to called the Horge House, and this is all in Iowa. Everything up there in Iowa is fairly cheap compared down here in the South. It truly is,
Right.
and I just love it up there. It's super nice, and everything's flat up there, of course. But I think what else do we have planned?
Well,
I talked about Post Town and
Mhm.
Post Town,
yeah.
and
Didn't we talk about Randolph County or?
yep, Randolph County Infirmary.
I
So
think
we
I think Post Town is on the docket for our team too. That place just looks creepy, and
Yeah.
I've read about it, and like everybody that says they've been there, they said they didn't leave disappointed, and said it was one of the most active places they've been. And that's just crazy to think, because it was an old elementary school. It's
My
like,
mom actually grew up next to there. She said that they would go by and like it creeped them out even then. Like the
Oh,
kids would be
wow.
like, that place is so scary. Like they all talked about it. So she thinks it's really cool that we actually were wanting to go. She was like, you gotta let me know.
right, yeah, that's definitely a place that I've been wanting to go to for a while. We've talked about trying to hit up that place in the spring, where it's not too cold anymore and it's not too hot yet. That way, if it don't have electricity, you're not going to roast to death or freeze to death at night. So,
We'll probably freeze to death, so we'll become ghosts at Edinburgh because we'll be there. And then we have this bright idea. We're going to try to each one of us walk around the entire building by ourselves for an hour on live so that everybody can see how terrified I am. I'm not going down to the basement. I said I will try to walk, but I'll probably just stand by the door for an hour and turn the camera, walk and think I'm walking around. That's
right. So, what's all the social media you guys are on right now?
just Facebook,
And
right?
TikTok.
TikTok.
Yeah. So we're not trying to, like I said, we're trying to stick to smallest group. I think this is all that we're going to ever have in our group. It's 5 people.
Mhm.
We keep it simple. We're not, trying to outgrow this and, go here, go there. So we're just simple paranormal team. And
It's more of us just great friends
Yeah.
and having fun and exploring the paranormal. If we become super famous, then great. I mean, I wouldn't mind, but not, I'm okay with it just being 5 friends spending time together doing what we love to do. And
yeah,
that's investigating the paranormal and scaring the shit out of Chris every chance we can.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
definitely for sure. Getting famous is something that we're not setting ourselves out for. We're not on that roadmap.
Right. And like Ashley said, if it happens, it happens. If not, then hey, that's cool too. That's kind of our
Mhm.
outlook on it too. We're not out to do this to get famous or to get all these clicks. It's just about having fun and trying to figure out all the answers to all these questions we've always had.
Mhm.
Well,
And,
with friends, instead of going clubbing, we go to haunted hospitals and
right.
haunted jails.
See, that's how we were as teenagers. Instead of going out drinking and stuff, we were breaking into abandoned houses and going to cemeteries and stuff. So, you know, and speaking of scaring Chris, I know the most recent scare video came from this place called the Shrine.
yeah.
So who all was there when this happened? I know Chris was there, and it looked like there was a couple other people there.
Weren't there with him. Chris went there by himself to the shrine with a couple of his friends.
Yeah, Jack
Okay.
Brewer, Ghost Hunters, and Mandy from Ghost Sisters.
Okay.
And I went there to the shrine before in the past, and I know how dangerous. I'm not saying that place is a dangerous place, but there's stuff there you have to be careful of and aware of. And I guess I was on edge the entire night, and I forgot I put a damn alarm beside me, and I guess the owner walked in the room trying to sneak to get some coffee or something, and he set the alarm off. And I think my soul, my body, that terrified me.
Oh,
You gotta story though. Tell him the rest of the story. How you walked in and he's like hiding in
Oh,
the
yeah,
kitchen with his coffee cup.
He didn't mean to scare us, and he spilled his coffee everywhere because he heard me screaming, so I scared him. It was just awful.
I watched that clip right before I went into work, and I went into work just dying laughing, and nobody knew what was going on. I had to show them. I was like, "This is what I'm laughing at." That was good stuff. So ultimately, like, what is the goal for your team?
To continue doing this for a really long time and hit up some really amazing places. At least that's what it is for me, my goal.
Yeah.
And it's just to stay friends. I mean, these people are really awesome. Jackie and Tony and Josh and Chris, and we just all work really well together, and we all are very considerate of each other, and we all get together when it comes to like planning things out, and we just have a lot of fun, and I'm
Right.
excited what future has for us. We're just gonna keep doing it for as long as we can.
Right.
Mhm.
I think ultimately we just want to better each other in this. Like we push each other to do things that we wouldn't do on our own. And we just want to make sure the other is doing all that we know that they can do,
Right.
Mhm.
you know?
All right. So
And we're one because they're all together on, OSPH and Harriman. So it's like if this group thing ever came to an end, at least we're still here at the hospital together,
right.
and we can still work together and enjoy the paranormal.
And I need somebody to go to the rooms with me because I'm not cleaning windows in a haunted hospital by myself.
Oh goodness.
Chris got the door today. The door closed in on him, and he like freaked out. And so some of the parts of
Oh
doing
goodness.
this, you are, because we know where we're at. We know that the spirit's here. We know that this place is haunted, and even if it's not paranormal, something happens and you get freaked out, and that's what's
Right.
fun.
Right.
This and like picking up trash on the side of the freeway or something.
Right. All right, so I'm gonna end this episode with this. I've asked this a couple of times, and I actually stole it from another podcast because they asked me this question, and I think it's a really fun question. So, to each one of you, you die and become a ghost. Who are you gonna haunt? Chris, we'll start with you.
Like in our team or just anybody?
Just anybody.
Oh,
I honestly don't know. I guess I would mess around with everybody. I mean, I ain't gonna just go for one person, but I would actually just have fun with it. I would go around to Jackie and Tony's and jump to Ashley's, might say hi to Josh, and then I'm good. But nothing too
Might.
serious. I would have bad way because
Right.
I sleep peacefully and I don't want my covers tugged or nothing.
Ashley, what about you? Who would you haunt if you became a ghost?
Channing Tatum for sure. I'd be in his bedroom.
Oh man.
Oh,
Sorry, children, cover your ears, but I would. That's where I would be. Spend most of my nights.
All right, Josh, what about you, man?
Shit, I don't even know. I really don't know. I would.
Sure.
I know for sure. I would be a prankster. I would be doing like little inconvenient shit to
Right.
people. That's all I would know.
That's how I'd be.
Like-
I'd want to fuck with
like-
them just enough to keep them on their toes, but not enough to
Yeah.
like make them piss themselves.
I would do stuff like, okay, yeah, you like the cold side of your pillow. Enjoy the warm side because both of them are warm. I'll just do stuff like that.
Oh man. All right, so Jackie, what about you?
Oh, for sure, my kids. Like, but not in a good way. I'm not going to be like, oh, mom loves you. I'm going to be like, remember when you didn't pick up your clothes? Well, yeah, here, boo, bitch. Like, it's going to be bad. For sure, my kids.
Oh, that's a good answer. So Tony, what about you, man?
Her, hands down, I'm haunting her. Torture her for the rest of her life.
Mm-mm.
Oh, that's how you got to do it, I guess. All right, well, guys and gals, I really appreciate you guys coming on. This was a very fun episode.
thank you.
So everybody go check out Fearful Encounters on Facebook. Follow them on TikTok. All right. Again, thank you guys. We'll catch everybody next time.
Thank
Bye.
Thanks for
you.
having us. Bye.
Bye, thanks for having us.
Thank you.